Welcome, crypto fam, to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. Bitcoins are ripping like the new Scottie Pippen. We're back in the green. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest technical analysis. And also, it's Max Keiser's 65th birthday. The legend himself has been preaching about Bitcoin sub $1 going back to 2011 alongside Stacy Herbert via the Keiser Report. So help me wish him a very happy birthday on today's special day. We're also going to be discussing breaking news. Publicly traded Fathom Holdings adopts the Bitcoin Treasury strategy. Kansas bill aims to allocate 10% of their retirement funds to the Bitcoin ETFs. Utah introduces a bill allowing state treasurer to invest into the public funds, into the crypto. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin wallets left behind by Ross Ulbricht before prison sentence. Still hold $47 million worth of the biddy, and he's now received over $1 million worth of donations. Respect. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin could hit 700,000 per coin amid currency debasement fears, according to Larry Fink, the BlackRock CEO. And Cynthia Lummis shares some big news as well today. She's hinting big things are coming, referring to executive order, strategic reserve for the United States, a Bitcoin bill. We will be discussing this. Also, she says she is honored to chair the Senate Banking Subcommittee on Digital Assets, which is a sign of the time. Quoting CZ, U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve pretty much confirmed. Crypto moving at crypto speed again. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this plus so much more in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes, subscribe, then ring the bell, turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto newsletters every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode 1884. I'm your host, JV. It's January 23rd, 2025, a special day for multiple reasons, one of them being it's the high priest Max Keiser's special 65th birthday, so show some love for Max. Also, rumors of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. I'm going to give you all the updates from Cynthia Lummis, as well as the industry, insiders. And I'll be sharing all the information I have on the topic. A big call today as well between Trump and Bukele at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. What do you think they're going to be conversating about? There's speculation floating around that I won't even mention it yet. We'll keep that for the end of the stream. That's actually our featured topic. But you already know I just got back from Bitcoin country. So let's just say things are about to heat up. So we'll leave it at that. But anyways, let's kick it off with our market watch as we do each and every day. You can see Bitcoin, pretty little bitty going up. Bitcoin pumping, just shy of 105 at the time of the live. Meanwhile, the alts wreck city. Most of them are correcting and in the red. Checking out coinmarketcap.com. The current crypto market cap sits pretty at 3.58 trillion. The Bitcoin market cap, 2.073 trillion. We got 175 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. And the Bitcoin dominance is still on the climb, almost 58% today. Ether dominance back on the decline, all the way down to 10.9%. Want for the Ether. And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We got XDC, KCS, and ETC. Which alts, if any, are you bullish on besides the BTC? Holla at your boy. Let me know. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the day. The bulk of the market, safe to say, 90% in the red, Rec City for the alts. Zooming out on the month, very similar, maybe 80-20, red over green, Rec City as well. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index. We're currently at 75 greed. Yesterday, 84 extreme greed. The higher that number goes, the more likely of a correction. Last week, a 75, and last month, a 73. And checking out the time chain calendar. Can we go back in time in the DeLorean? Hit up Marty McFly and buy some biddy when you can get 4 for $1. Back around the time Max was preaching the holy gospel of Satoshi when it all began. Anyways, we're on block height number 880,522. And you currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 955 sats to stack the sats, put down the gats, and pick up the Bitcoin caps from my boy Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. Cop yourself a camo El Salvador Bukele, just like this. First, we'll start with the astrology for the broskies, as we do here each and every day. As you can see, Bitcoins are ripping like the new Scottie Pippen. We are flipped back in the green, which is good. We were just above 106. A lot of volatility in the market, which is to be expected. Headline here reads, Bitcoin price gained 40% in 2 months. When Bitcoin was last this range bound. That's right. Bitcoin bulls not left 100,000 behind as the round number level forms the enduring market focus. All eyes next. I mean, we hit 109.3, which is practically 110. So Bitcoin's current 60-day price range is very narrow. Historically, periods of a tight price range often precede heightened volatility, precisely what I've been preaching. The current 60-day range is 19%, a level seen only 5 times since 2019, and which in 2023 came at the start of the major Bitcoin price upside from 30 Gs October 22nd that year. It expanded to 42,000 by December 31st, a 40% increase in roughly 2 months. Furthermore, 20% of the Bitcoin supply is concentrated within 15% of the spot price, as Glassnode observed. They also said this creates the potential for amplified market volatility as investor profitability continues to shift. They also say on the week on chain, when supply is highly concentrated around the spot price, small movements in price can significantly affect investor profitability, which can turn to amplify the market volatility. And after the Bitcoin price peaked in December, it started to consolidate, creating a dense concentration of supply with a cost basis close to the spot price. Meanwhile, Bollinger Bands deliver classic breakout hints. Despite the short-term snap moves within the range, the Bitcoin price volatility is historically low, as viewed through the popular Bollinger Bands indicator, which we commonly use as well when we do our pump watches. Matthew Hyland earlier in the month on the 3-day time frames noted the bands were recently at their closest together since January of 2024, practically a year ago. And in December, the indicator's creator, John Bollinger, highlighted a textbook Bollinger Band behavior for the BITI/USD daily chart. I also want to reiterate Max Kaiser's birthday today, so please do wish him a special birthday over on X. I wrote here, happy 65th birthday to the Bitcoin legend, Max Kaiser, who has been orange pilling millions of people via the Kaiser Report, alongside Stacey Herbert since 2011, leading the way for Bitcoin adoption in Bitcoin country. Max is a prophet of Satoshi and believes Bitcoin hitting 2.2 million this cycle is inevitable. Please help me wish my man, Max, a happy B-Day. That was very kind of him to write these kind words. A true friend. Thank you. You're very welcome, Max. And it was an honor, chilling and kicking it at your event at the Max and Stacey Invitational. And thank you for all the hospitality. And it felt amazing just being in Bitcoin country, especially with you. So much appreciated. We're going to pull up the charts. Trump just made a big speech for the World Economic Forum. I just wanted to point out, quoting him here, America will be the world capital of crypto. And in other news, publicly traded Fathom Holdings adopts Bitcoin treasury strategy. Another one bites the dust. And another one. Exactly. But let's pull up some of the live charts. Welcome everyone. Join the live stream. Let's blow this mofo up. Already 1,500 people here live and in the flesh. And we greatly appreciate that. But here, let's check out trading view via Coinbase Exchange. This is the 1 hour chart. You can see we do have a $117,000 target on the 1 hour, which is very unusual. But look at that big bullish Godzilla candle on the hourly. That was a mega pump. I believe that was off the back of the news of the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, which we'll touch upon later in the show. Stay tuned. Zooming out from the 1 hour. Live chart action. Jackson live and in the flesh. The 4 hour chart still has the green bull target of 130, which I love to see. Extremely bullish for the 4 hour chart. And as you can see, that big green candle forming on the 4 hour, because we just had that mega pump here in a few minutes ago before we went live. And zooming out on the daily, as you can see here, we have a rising wedgie green candle forming. Yesterday was a corrective day in the market. The day before that was a nice pump, as you can see, reflected from the candles. And zooming out from the daily, we take a look at the weekly. We still have the sexy cup and handle target in play, as you can see on your screen, sitting at 124 Gs, baby. And you can see we had a nice green candle close on Sunday, and we're 3 days out to the next week candle close. But we're building green. We're having a lot of momentum. Very exciting times, 124,000 in play. Zooming out on the monthly, as you can see here, big green candle forming already for January. We've got another week yet to go to put a bow on this month. Last month was a little itty-bitty red corrective for December. And November, the biggest green candle we have seen since the inception of the Genesis block. And if you don't know, now you know, broskies. But let's continue with the news, being we have so much regarding Bitcoin adoption across the world, including right here in the United States of America. That's right. Kansas bill aims to allocate 10% of the retirement retirement funds into the Bitcoin ETFs. That's right. Kansas State Senator Craig Bowser has introduced a bill to invest 10% of the public employee retirement funds into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Bowser, I don't know if that's related to the Mario Brothers, but introduced Senate Bill 34, which seeks to authorize the Kansas Public Employees Retirement System to invest a portion of the retirement fund into the BIDI-backed ETFs. As you can see, the breaking news right here. Pretty exciting. Quoting the bill, which is to establish a board of trustees who will spend up to 10% of the money in the state's retirement fund on Bitcoin-backed ETFs. Here's what it wrote. The board may invest and reinvest monies of the fund in the Bitcoin ETFs issued by the investment company registered in Kansas. Isn't that where the yellow brick road with, what was that, Wizard of Oz? Wasn't that in Kansas? It added that and did you know that was basically a metaphor, the Yellow Brick Road for the gold standard? Something I discovered. It was actually quite interesting. Let me know if you ever heard that. But anyways, it added that when the value of the Bitcoin ETFs exceed 10% of the fund, the board is not mandated to sell unless it would be in the best interest of the beneficiaries. The bill also adds that the Board of Trustees will be mandated to provide an annual examination of the investment program to monitor the performance of the investments. And while the proposal is a significant move for Bitcoin advocates in Kansas, it must navigate the legislative process before becoming a law. The bill was introduced January 16th and was passed on the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance Jan 17th, the following day. And from there, it must pass 4 additional steps before being referred to the House of Representatives, where it will undergo a similar process. And if approved, it'll be sent to the governor for the final approval or veto. Let's go, veto. This bill marks a potential shift in Kansas lawmakers' stance on crypto investments. Back in 2023, lawmakers in the Kansas House of Representatives introduced a bill to limit political crypto donations to $100. The $100 cap would be based on the fair market value of the digital assets after it was received. What's $100 worth of Bitcoin nowadays? Like 0.0001? I don't know, so that's why I asked. The bill would also require the crypto donations to be immediately converted into US dollars. With no scope for expenditures or holding of the asset. However, the 2023 bill was struck from the calendar after failing to comply with the state's Rule 1507, which enforces strict deadlines for certain bills. You got to follow the deadlines. So there you go. Bitcoin adoption occurring not just at the national level, it's happening at the state level. I think there's now 12 or so United States states adopting Bitcoin some way, somehow, whether it's the Treasury, strategic reserve, some form of adoption, pension funds, you name it. So this is all very exciting. Let's discuss the Utah bill next. Utah introduces a bill allowing state treasurer to invest public funds into crypto. That's right. Lawmakers in Utah are considering a new proposal that would enable the creation of a state crypto strategic reserve using the public funds. Utah State Representative Jordan Tushar, a Republican, introduced the bill that would allow the state treasurer to invest public funds in digital assets such as Bitcoin and stablecoins. Quoting him here, Utah is proud to lead the way in blockchain and digital innovation. This bill reflects our commitment to embracing the cutting-edge technology and preparing for the future of finance while ensuring fiscal sovereignty. The blockchain and digital innovation amendments authorize the state treasurer to invest certain public funds in qualifying digital assets, establishes requirements for the custody and management for digital assets, creates regulatory requirements for stablecoin investments, and authorizes the state treasurer to engage in staking and lending of digital assets under specified conditions. The proposed legislation allows for up to a 10% investment in crypto assets from several state budget accounts, including the State Disaster Recovery Restricted Account, the General Fund Budget Reserve Account, and the Income Tax Fund Budget Reserve Account, and the Medicaid Growth Reduction and Budget Stabilization Account. The bill also says the state could only invest in stablecoins or digital assets with a market cap of over $500 billion average over the previous 12 months. Tether USDT. There's also crypto custody service security measures spelled out in the bill that require cryptographic private keys exclusively within an encrypted environment accessible via only end-to-end encrypted channels, which prohibits access by a cell phone and hardware containing cryptographic private keys in at least 2 geographically diversified, specifically designated secure data centers. Definitely good for securing your biddies. You already know. Not your keys, not your coins. And do not treat the exchanges as your long-term custody service provider, because you don't even own that crypto. If the exchange were to get hacked, gone if something were to happen to the exchange like we saw with FTX, which was once the second largest crypto exchange in the world, and they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Adios, you lose it all. Because if you don't hold your own private keys, not your biddies, that's the bigger picture. So you want to self-custody, learn how to properly self-custody, and only keep on the exchanges what you're actively trading. If you don't have active trades, it's not really advantageous to use a centralized exchange as a custody. It actually defeats the purpose of Bitcoin, which separates your money from the state. You want to remove the intermediaries, and you can do that with self-custody. Common sense. And for those that don't know, maybe new, one Bitcoin can be divided by 100 million satoshis. So keep in mind, you can purchase any amount of Bitcoin. You don't need to be rich and have to have 105,000 in fiat sitting in the bank. In fact, if you have 105,000 sitting in the bank in fiat, what do we call them folks around here? You already know. So stack the biddy, purchase any amount of the Bitcoin you can, and just stack sats accordingly. HODL, dollar cost average. That's the name of the game. That's the playbook. That's what Mikey Saylor's doing.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best.
I'm not saying I'm number one. I'm sorry, I lied. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Let's discuss the latest from Ross Ulbricht. He is now home with his family. I'm sure you guys saw the infamous photo floating around as soon as he left prison, and he had that little plant in his hand. There's other photos now surfacing of him hugging his family. Everyone, rallying around this man, showing him support. If you don't know, he was falsely imprisoned for 12 freaking years because of some political bullshit, trying to make an example out of him, being a Bitcoiner, founder of the Silk Road. But here's the latest. Bitcoin wallets left behind by Ross before the prison sentence still hold 47 million worth of the biddy. So my question for you, do you think he still has access to this $47 million worth of Bitcoin? Hey now, let me know your thoughts. Coinbase director Connor Grogan says Bitcoin wallets left behind by Ross when he was in prison for his underground online marketplace Silk Road are still holding tens of millions of dollars worth of the biddy. On Tuesday, Trump pardoned Ulbricht. He kept to his word, who had been serving a life sentence for running the Silk Road, which facilitated the anonymous sale of illegal drugs and illicit goods using Bitcoin as a method of payment. That's like saying we need to lock up, what's his name? The chairman of the Fed and, the money printer people such as Jay Powell and Janet Yellen and Christine Lagarde, because people are using the cash that they print to do illicit activity. That's the same logic and reasoning for why they locked up Ross, which makes absolutely no sense. It was really just an attack on Bitcoin. Ulbricht was arrested in 2013 and sentenced in 2015. The government seized tens of thousands of the biddies tied to Silk Road, but Grogan says they weren't able to get their hands on 100% of the coins. Quoting them here, I found 430 Bitcoin across dozens of wallets associated with Ross that were not confiscated by the government and had been untouched for 13 plus years, back when these were probably dust wallets. Now collectively they're worth 47 million. Welcome back, Ross. We so back. However, Grogan cast doubt on whether Ulbricht can gain access to the Bitcoin in the wallets. So that's the million-dollar question, right? Unlikely if he has the keys still stored down anywhere. I guess I will see soon enough. So I guess we know if it starts to move on-chain, and we'll all know. He notes that the addresses were identified from court documents amongst other sources. Not going to share the addresses, but all of them are public. Cited and trial docs are directly adjacent and tracked already by multiple sources, so people will be watching. Ulbricht received a double life sentence, plus imagine 2 life sentences, plus 40 years, just in case you survive those 2 life sentences, without any possibility of parole, which was significantly harsher than many individuals who sold illicit goods on the Silk Road. Exactly. People actually selling the drugs didn't get sentences like that. They got like 5 years, 6 years, etc. President Trump issued Ulbricht an unconditional pardon and provided a statement on Truth Social, quoting Trumpster here. I just called the mother of Ross, William Ulbricht, to let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement, which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed a full and unconditional pardon of her son, Ross. The scum that worked to convict him were some of the same lunatics who were involved in the modern-day weaponization of government against me. He was given 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Ridiculous. Couldn't agree more. It's a bunch of bullshit, if you're to ask me. As you can see here, Ross Ulbricht just received $260,000 yesterday alone in donations. I know one of them was the Kraken Exchange, donated 1 Bitcoin. At this rate, he'll have a new $1 million in Bitcoin in the next 3 days because we all love Ross. We don't like to see our heroes being, criminalized in the corrupt justice system, which is precisely what we all witness. So kudos to each and every one of you who have been tweeting about Ross, because the government has to follow our requests. If we all demand something, they're going to have to follow what the people want. But if we're quiet and we acquiesce and we do nothing about it, we can't expect nothing different. We can't expect change. The same way we're demanding Ross be freed, in which he is now a free man, we need to be demanding the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Demand it and we'll get it. Acquiesce, don't expect anything, fam. But next story, let's discuss the 700,000 target from BlackRock. Then we'll discuss what's on everyone's mind, the strategic Bitcoin reserve bill, executive order, and all the details, Bukele, Trump, all the rumors I'm going to cover, so stick around. But first, we got to cover the latest from the BlackRock CEO, Mr. Larry Fink. Bitcoin can hit 700 Gs amid the currency debasement fears, according to the BlackRock CEO. That's right, yo. Let's break this down. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, Mr. Lawrence Fink, appeared for an interview at the World Economic Forum. In fact, Trump just spoke at the World Economic Forum as well in Davos to discuss the future of digital currency. He said Bitcoin can climb to $700,000 per biddy amid the currency debasement fears. And we all know the dollar is mathematically guaranteed to continue to decrease in purchasing power because the pretty little money printer will go brr. So no matter what story they try to convince you and lie to you, saying we got the inflation under control, we got it at 2%, it's bullshit, bullshit on top of bullshit. It has to go. The dollar is doomed. The more money they print, the less purchasing power you have with the dollar. So everything around us, you're like, things are getting expensive. No, your dollar is becoming more and more worthless each and every day. That's why we have Bitcoin. It's a hedge against the United States dollar. The mathematical certainty of Bitcoin going up in purchasing power is 100%. It's a mathematical certainty. It's mathematically guaranteed, as it has been since the inception of the Genesis block. Bitcoin's been on a 16-year bull trajectory, and it's not slowing down, family. The CEO said collective small allocations from asset managers between 2 to 5%, which is little, it's nothing, it's light, could drive such a price increase. What if they were to do to 5, 10%, 10, 20%? What if they were to do like an 86.5% allocation, which BlackRock once recommended in one of their research reports, which I have covered here on the pod? Quoting them here. If you're frightened about the debasement of your currency, or you are frightened of the economic or political stability of your country, you can have an internationally based instrument called Bitcoin that will overcome those local fears. And may I remind you guys, in our society, all the corn has GMO. It's not good for you. The only non-GMO crop left on the planet is Bitcoin. So stack your Bitcoin accordingly. And so I'm a big believer in the utilization of that as an instrument. Fink continued. The BlackRock CEO also qualified his statements by adding that he was not promoting Bitcoin. Yeah, if someone says I'm not promoting Bitcoin, that means they are promoting Bitcoin. Law of attraction. Anyways, Fink also said he was concerned about the possibility of elevated inflation over the next 12 months and warned there was a danger in assuming that peak inflationary levels have already been reached. At least he's speaking the truth here. You don't really expect BlackRock to deliver the truth on a silver platter, but he's actually being honest. That's 100% accurate right there. So they're not even lying about it no more. CPI inflation data for 2024 came in slightly lower than expected at 3.2%. But we all know true inflation, 20%. I mean, if the low, maybe 15%. It depends on how we're measuring it. But just look at your food costs, look at the real estate, and tell me that they actually have inflation under control at 3 or 2%. It's hysterical. We're living in a clown world. However, some investors and analysts have argued that the CPI, which measures inflation based on rotating basket of common household goods, is a poor measure. Exactly, it's a poor measure because they can fudge the metrics, which is how they fudge the motherfucking numbers. Shareholder proposal submitted to Meta in January, requesting the company adopt Bitcoin as a reserve asset. Do you think the Zuck will do that? Suggesting that the true inflation rate could be double the reported, or quadruple. The National Center for Public Policy Research, a think tank advocating for the free markets, submitted the same shareholder proposal to Amazon in December, citing the same arguments. Eventually, all these big companies will come around to the biddy. They have to. And who are some of the largest shareholders of these big companies? It's always BlackRock. It's always Vanguard. And BlackRock has tremendous exposure already to Bitcoin. You understand? They're the primary shareholder of motherfucking MicroStrategy. They're the primary shareholder of a lot of the Bitcoin miners. They're now, I think, up to like 800,000 Bitcoin, or I know it's well over 500,000. They're stacking Bitcoin so fast, they're breaking records. There's been more Bitcoin volume just through the spot ETF, thanks to BlackRock and the other asset managers, than the gold ETF over the past 2 decades. And the Bitcoin ETF is only a year old, just to give you some perspective. It's getting crazy. You think that's going to slow down? I think not. They want to own all the real assets in the world, and the greatest asset to ever exist is the biddy. Quoting them again. In reality, the true inflation rate is significantly higher, with some studies estimating it to be double the CPI at times, and I dare say triple, quadruple, and whatever comes after that. But what are your thoughts, family? Now for our featured story of the day, fam. Cynthia Lummis let the cat out of the bag. She wrote, "Big things are coming with the Bitcoin symbol," and it all started here. So let me share my screen and show you what I got. We're going to be discussing the strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States, executive order. We're also going to be discussing Bukele and Trump. They have a meeting today, a conference call at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to be sharing any of the insights that I have so we can get to the bottom of this, of what's going on as the pretty little bitty continues. Going up forever, Laura. So yeah, it all started here with Cynthia Lummis. She made this tweet. It got a lot of views, already 50,000 hearts, 12,000 reposts, and she wrote, "Big things are coming. Stay tuned for 10 a.m. Now, I don't know if she was referencing her Wyoming time here because she didn't put Eastern or the time zone, but nonetheless, all eyes have been on Cynthia Lummis's feed. So we're going to start here. And so Kraken Exchange responded, "By big things, do you mean U.S. Bitcoin reserve? I mean, what else is big? We already got Ross as a free man. The next big promise, now that Gensler has resigned, is the strategic Bitcoin reserve. It's on everyone's mind." So I can read between the lines, but we're going to go to her account, but I'm going to just finish going through some of these things. Trump and Bukele have a call today, which has been confirmed by multiple sources at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. What do you think they're going to be discussing? You tell me. Now, Max Kaiser wrote something here, but first I'm going to read what this says, quoting Cynthia Lummis. "Wouldn't it be fun if the United States is buying Bitcoin and it scares China and Russia, so they start buying Bitcoin, and we have an arms race over Bitcoin instead of over weapons?" Precisely what the high priest predicted. That's why he wrote here, "Don't know why she never gives me credit for this idea that I originated." He actually coined the phrase global hash wars. What are the hash wars? It's the race for countries around the world to gather the biddy, also referred to as game theory. So shout out Max. He actually did predict all this, and it's coming into fruition. And now they're talking about it, and now it's like spreading like wildfire. Max also wrote, "Printing meme coins is the same as printing US dollars. Both cause a loss of purchasing power. An example, inflation. Trump can't fight inflation by printing meme coins, US dollars, and calling for lower rates. Precisely. It's an oxymoron. It's impossible. It can't happen. Bitcoin's surge to 7 figures will be powered by these mistakes. 100%. And that's why Max is calling for 2.2 million, which he says is inevitable for this cycle. Let me know if you agree or disagree with a high priest. Now for some other breaking news. Cynthia Lummis announced here, "I am honored to chair the Senate Banking Subcommittee on Digital Assets." Let's go. Quoting her here, digital assets are the future. And if the United States wants to remain a global leader in financial innovation, Congress needs to urgently pass bipartisan legislation establishing a comprehensive legal framework for digital assets that strengthens the U.S. dollar with a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Repeat, strategic Bitcoin reserve. I am humbled. My colleagues have placed their trust in me to chair this historic subcommittee, and I look forward to shepherding bipartisan legislation to President Trump's desk this year that secures our financial future. So now that she is the chair on Senate Banking Subcommittee on Digital Assets, what do you think is the most likely predictable outcome? Strategic Bitcoin reserve. Strategic Bitcoin reserve. So shout out Senator Lummis. CZ wrote here, after Senator Lummis announced honor to chair the Senate Banking Subcommittee of Digital Assets, shout out CZ, U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve pretty much confirmed crypto moving at crypto speed again. So yeah, so to clarify, did we get clarification that Trump actually signed the bill or the executive order on the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve? No, in fact, he most likely hasn't. However, it's a process, and the process is happening. It seems, thus far, Trump is sticking to his word. What did he say he would do? He said he would fire Gary. Gary's already resigned. He said he would free Ross. Ross is a free man. And he said he would stockpile the Bitcoin and establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Cynthia Lummis wrote the bill. Do you think it's going to happen? Abso-freaking-lutely. When is the $1 million question, but it's in play. Now, also, other big news just the other day, and I'm going to read it to you because I know it's cut off on the screen. But Senator Lummis and Eric Trump discussed creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve at the Capitol yesterday. So Trump Jr., or Eric Trump in this case, was just speaking with Senator Lummis at the Capitol yesterday about a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Connect the dots, read between the lines. It's quite obvious if you're to ask me what's really happening here. And then we got the news with, Bukele and Trump. As you can see here, Trump and Bukele are going to hold a call today, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, with El Salvador's Nayib Bukele. I mean, look at this. Two of the world's best leaders coming together to lift up the biddy. I mean, this is like a dream come true. Right now, I'm almost teary-eyed. Oh my God. Thank God I'm wearing glasses. I'd feel embarrassed. And then you have the CEO of Rumble, President Bukele, is ahead of his time. When every country was pro-censorship, he invited me to his country to reinforce how pro-speech and pro-freedom El Salvador is. Now, Tether is headquartering there, and Rumble will also open offices. Let's go. So yeah, there's a rumor that at 2:30 there could be an executive order signed by Trump. It could be for the strategic reserve. I don't know. These are rumors at the current time, but things are looking pretty incredible, if you're to ask me. And then Cynthia also updated us here on her profile. There is a big lift ahead. It will require consensus building and loud voices. That means you and I, folks. So get loud, but remember to codify a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We need majorities in both houses. Make friends where you can. So this tells us that the next step, it has to pass the majorities of both houses before it enters the desk of the Trumpster. At least that's how I'm deciphering these messages. You let me know your thoughts. David Bailey, the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, wrote, "Rally behind Lummis and make the Bitcoin Act the law of the land." And let's see if there's any new updates since then. Shout out Cynthia Lummis. She's awesome, by the way. Just a little reminder, things are about to get crazy. This was actually posted last week. Emotions and excitement can run high. Don't send Bitcoin or crypto to some rando. Exactly. If someone's pretending to be JV, Cynthia Lummis, Trump, Bukele, Saylor, Kaiser, it's a scam 10 out of 10 times. And just make note of that. There's a lot of imposters and scammers out there. David Marcus congratulating Lummis. "I couldn't think of a better pick to lead the country on the path for the U.S. to win the global digital asset race decisively. A new era is upon us. And then she wrote here yesterday, a huge thank you to the Wyoming National Guard members who offer support for the Washington for Trump's inauguration. We appreciate you. All the braving winter weather to ensure safety and security. But bottom line, big things are coming. I wonder what these two are going to be talking about, discussing on the phone today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. You let me know. There's the news. There you have it. And if you don't know, now you know. Broskies. And I'm going to read the comments here for a moment. Welcome everyone joining us. Almost 4,000 of you on the stream today. And it's an early stream, so make some noise for that. All-time highs in play. We're only 3,000 away. I think off the back of this news, I don't think the strategic Bitcoin reserve is priced in. So off the back of this news, I think we can continue to pump. I think we can enter price discovery. I think we can finally smash 110, 111, 120, 124. El Salvador, let's freaking go.